This episode was brought to you by the Cool Cookies Cutters shop on Etsy. Whether you're a nerdy baker or a gamer who can't keep out of the kitchen, this shop has you covered. They offer handmade cookie cutters in shapes from all of your favorite series: Star Wars, Disney, Pokemon, Powerpuff Girls, The Legend of Zelda. This shop has it all. The cutters are all of great quality, and the cookies come out so well, I felt bad biting off poor Pikachu's head. Well, not that bad. So head over to Etsy and search Cool Cookies Cutters and make something deliciously awesome.
Hi there, and welcome to the Hidden Pixels podcast, a show highlighting those gaming stories you might have missed on your first playthrough. I'm your host, Sebastian Nazaro. On this episode, we're visiting Hyrule for the very first time. That's right, we finally have a story from the Legend of Zelda. As I mentioned last episode, this is my all-time favorite gaming series. From the exploration of new lands to meeting new and fascinating characters, this series has always given me something to wonder about and debate with my friends. For those of you who are new to the series, it stars a silent protagonist named Link. Almost always donned in his green hat and tunic, he goes on adventures in the land of Hyrule. Each game in the series could be seen as a standalone adventure, with locations and characters flowing through each one in different ways. But where many fans find the fun is in taking each of those threads and tying them together, creating one large timeline that encompasses all the games. One of those threads is the idea of a postman who aids Link in his quest by delivering news and messages to him. While he doesn't show up in every game, he usually takes on the same appearance. He is a periphery character to be sure, but he is also present enough to make me wonder whether each postman character is related. Or are they simply sharing a profession, helping Link where they can in their own special way? Today I'm taking 4 of these instances of the postman and sharing their stories. And then I'll leave it up to you to decide whether these characters are related or not. Either way, they always make a scene when they enter. So grab your letter bag and let's dive in. Bunnies. It's all about the bunnies. Whether they were running in the field, scuttling along on all fours, or munching on a carrot, they were simply the best. Nothing in the world was better than running with a bunch of rabbits and hanging out for the day. The person only known as the Running Man was jogging through the large open Hyrule field, named after the kingdom where it was located. The man often chased the bunnies, wanting to hold them, cuddle them, play with them. They were just too cute. He saw a group of them on the crest of the next hill. He needed to cuddle them. He ran with arms outstretched, ready to hug the cute cuddlies when suddenly he woke up. It was a cool, crisp night, and he was lying on the grassy dirt. He gave a heavy sigh. The same dream he had every night. The same lovely dream of cute rabbits. But rabbits hadn't been around for years, centuries even. His great-grandmother had told him all about them when he was young, but he never experienced the joy of frolicking over the Hylian fields with a group of bunnies. He never knew what it really felt like to snuggle all that fluffiness. Instead, the Running Man ran. He went to the Gerudo Valley. He ran to the Lost Woods. He ran around and around Lon Lon Ranch. He ran from sun up to sundown, resting at night wherever his feet led him. And all day long, he thought of rabbits. Their long ears, their bushy tails, their hopping, jumping legs. He friggin' loved the idea of bunnies. He secretly wanted to be a bunny. But that was just crazy, right? Right? Yeah, that was just weird. The only company the Running Man had was an odd little forest kid in green clothes. Link. Ugh. He was such a follow-oner, always thinking he could keep up with the Running Man, always trying to outrun him. Come on, kid. He once tried making friends with Link, explaining the awesomeness that were once rabbits. In old times, I heard that there were many wild rabbits in the land of Hyrule. Not anymore, though, because of excessive hunting. I want to become a rabbit, listen to the wind with those ears, hop across the ground with those legs, even if I can only pretend. Link didn't even respond. Instead, he ran off towards Kakariko Village, ignoring the Running Man's clear attempt to bond with some natural, normal people conversation. What a jerk. The Running Man disliked Link almost as much as he liked bunnies. Almost. It was a normal, clear day in Hyrule, with the Running Man doing one of his favorite routes from Lake Hylia to Castle Market Town, when suddenly he caught something off to his left. In a clump of bushes on the side of the hill, he noticed something rustling around. Something small, with 2 long, fluffy ears. A bunny! He found a bunny! He couldn't believe what he was seeing. But there was no mistaking those ears. He knew them from the rabbit picture books he kept in his bag. It's finally happening! The Running Man ran to the bushes to smother the cuteness in cuddles, when suddenly he stopped short. It wasn't a bunny in the bushes. It was Link! Gross forest kid Link with a pair of rabbit ears on the top of his head. The Running Man's face contorted as he tried to process all of his emotions. Disappointment that it wasn't a rabbit. Disgust in seeing Link. But most of all, excitement over what these rabbit ears could possibly be. A hood that had rabbit ears on them? How could this be? The Running Man couldn't contain himself. I bet with those long ears, you could even hear the voices of spirits. Oh, these are genuine from the animal of legend. I don't care how expensive they are. Please, sell them to me. Link looked at him without saying a word, amused at this caricature of a person. After the longest, most drawn-out moment of the Running Man's life, Link nodded. He took off the bunny hood and handed it to the Running Man. My long-time dream! Returning to the wildlife. Finally, the actor, stage, and prop have been united. The Running Man dumped his entire wallet into Link's hands, not caring how much he gave the kid. He had rabbit ears. He was one step closer to being a real bunny. He put the hood on and shivered a little bit as the little bunny spirits flowed through him. And then he took off, leaving Link in his dust. He ran faster than he ever had before, over the hills and across the river and all over the field. He was no longer the Running Man. He was the Running Rabbit, and he couldn't have been happier. Wake up, stretch, dress, grab bag, start route, mailbox A, mailbox B, mailbox C, mailbox D, stock pod in, back to the office, sort, repack, deliveries, home, training, sleep. This was the schedule for each and every day. The delivery schedule has the highest priority, then the pickups, then training. Those are the order of priorities for the postman of Clocktown. He couldn't change the priorities, he was only a postman. The postmaster, or postmistress, could change the priorities with a direct order, but if that didn't happen, the postman stuck to the schedule. And the postman loved it. He loved the order and knowledge of what was to come next in every day. Even with the entire town preparing for the Festival of Time, there was always the schedule. Even with the mayor's son missing days before his wedding, there was always the schedule. Even with the moon getting closer and closer to crashing into the world with each passing minute, there was the schedule. The postman stepped outside and glanced up at the moon before jogging to mailbox A. Yup, closer than ever. He didn't have to worry about that, though. He had the schedule. He ran the route, picking up any letters and packages around town from the various mailboxes. But his schedule was slightly interrupted when he handed the innkeeper Anju a letter he had picked up earlier. What's this? She suddenly looked excited and nervous and began to hyperventilate. The postman didn't understand. Here you are, today's mail. And he made a move to continue on his route. He had to keep the schedule. Andrew tried to explain. Wait, this letter, where did you... The postman didn't have time for this. From the postbox. That's not what I meant. From the postbox where? The postman was getting more anxious by the second. From the postbox somewhere. He wasn't in charge of tracking where the mail came from. He just had to ensure that it was picked up and delivered. And that's what he did. He jogged for the door, trying to make up for lost time, as Andrew cried after him, That's not what I mean! But the postman continued on. So what if she was the fiancée of the missing mayor's son? So what if the letter was addressed from that same son? Becoming involved in romantic affairs was not on the schedule. The postman finished his deliveries and went home for training. Every night he would test himself, attempting to count to exactly 10 seconds in his mind without the use of a stopwatch. He was getting better and better at it too. His timing was nearly impeccable, and his ability to keep the schedule was improving as well. After the training, he went to sleep, not worrying about Andrew's postponed wedding or the moon falling from the sky, only preparing for the next day's schedule. The next day, the schedule went even smoother. There were fewer packages and letters, so he completed it with ease. Andrew didn't try to delay him. No one made a fuss over their deliveries. Everyone just respected the schedule, and that put the postman in a great mood. In fact, he didn't even mind when a kid in green clothes came and joined him for his training. He explained the training to the kid and even gave him a shot at it. The kid was okay with his time, but clearly needed practice. I mean, the goal was exactly 10 seconds, not 9.84 seconds. Sheesh, what a rookie. When the training was over, the postman went to bed, ready for the next day's schedule. But as soon as he woke up, he knew something was off. It was a strange feeling in his gut that he just couldn't shake. Regardless, the schedule persisted, and he must keep going. He made all of his pickups, but there were even fewer than yesterday. And with the moon now dangerously close to crashing into town, everyone he knew already evacuated. The postman was sorting deliveries for the day, but he paused. He knew that none of the recipients were here. He knew that he had to try again tomorrow if they weren't present to accept their delivery. But the moon, it was so close. But the schedule, he had to keep the schedule. The postman fell to his knees in anguish, torn between his civic duty and the desire not to be literally crushed by the moon. It was just then when the kid in green clothes came back into his shop. He tried to explain to the child that he didn't have the time or heart to train right now. Oh, I want to flee, but it's not written in the schedule. To me, the delivery schedule. It's the highest priority. It was then when he saw what was in the boy's hand. A purple letter with a golden seal. This is a priority mail seal. This is the highest of priorities. I shall deliver it. The postman was very happy for the distraction. The letter was addressed to the postmistress herself, from the mayor's son. The postman recollected himself. He must make this delivery. He rushed to where he knew the postmistress would be at the moment, the milk bar. He burst through the door and found her sitting at the bar with a cup of frothy milk. I have a delivery for you, postmistress. The woman looked up in complete shock. Oh my, it can't be. You're still here? The postman looked a bit bashful. Tomorrow's delivery is still scheduled. The postmistress was completely appalled. What are you saying? Did you see the sky? It's terrible. But, oh my, well, what shall we do? She started to open the letter while she thought, but she stopped short. It's from Cathay. The postman looked proud. It's priority mail. I am so happy to think something good would come in the end. Thank you. You, flee now. That's an order. Pride flowed into relief in the postman's heart. He could flee. Understood. He rushed out of the bar and to the gate of the city. He could flee. He could escape the impending doom. The schedule no longer held him down. Next to the gate, he spotted the boy in green. The postman took off his cap and handed it to the kid. I have decided to flee. It's an order from the postmaster. I am now free. I can set my own schedule. I don't need this anymore. So, here, I'll let you have it. And with that, the postman skipped straight out of town, free to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, free of any kind of schedule. Kaboli just stood looking at the pile of mail on the counter. He couldn't believe how much he needed to sort, with more coming in by the minute. He was a Rito, a member of the bird-like people who populated the mountainous Dragon Roost Island. This island had been in trouble for a while. The dragon, Valu, who lived on the island, lost control of himself and refused to cooperate with the Rito. It wasn't until Link arrived, a young boy in green clothing, that Valu started acting like his old self again. Link, the boy with the tough past and on a mission to save his sister from kidnappers. He was the talk of the island, and also the reason why the mail started flowing in worse than ever. News of him arriving brought letters in from everywhere. Kaboli sighed. He was never going to get through all of this. They say that postmanning had been in his family's blood for generations, but he was losing steam. I mean, who could keep a rigorous schedule like this? He had even hired an assistant just for sorting, but the guy never showed up. It just figures. It was then when Link appeared at the counter, and Kaboli got a great idea. Hey, you need some work? Link looked cautious, but silently nodded. If you could sort 25 letters or more, your salary will really jump. Now get to work. And with that, Link's helpful spirit took over. He sorted everything in less than a minute, cleaning up the entire station of the loose mail. Kaboli was a little stunned. He thought that the kid would help a bit, but in actuality, it was some of the best sorting he had ever seen. 25 letters? Seriously, I'm stupefied, incredulous. We veterans do this all day long, and even we have a hard time reaching that amount. I've got to give you more money. I've got to. 3 rupees per letter for a total of 75 rupees. How's that sound? From the look on Link's face, it sounded pretty good. Hey, your name wouldn't happen to be Link, would it? It is, isn't it? I thought so. I thought you looked like the lad that the chieftain was talking about. In that case, I should have expected you to be able to pull off something like this. I've heard all about you. Yes, I sure have. You've had a rough time, Link. I feel bad making you help us. Kaboli trailed off as his newly hired assistant walked in the door, half an hour late. But hey, things are looking up. Our new helper has just arrived. Maybe you can give him some advice the next time you come on by. The assistant schlepped over behind the counter and rested his head in his hands, clearly already bored by the idea of a hard day's work. Kaboli grew troubled and leaned across the counter to Link. Be a pal and give our new helper some pointers. Just a few. Even just one. Link smiled and went over to speak to the assistant. Kaboli smiled too. He had a good feeling that they'd somehow get through this influx of work just fine. Hey! The postman ran over to Link as quickly as he could. Go no further. There is a black wall ahead that blocks the way. I thought I would deliver a few letters, but it seems impossible. The two men looked at the massive wall of shadowy darkness ahead of them. It was sort of shimmering, giving a bone-chilling feeling to the air. The postman shivered before realizing that he hadn't introduced himself. I am the honorable and dependable letter carrier, known to some as the Postman. Now that I have introduced myself, please take this letter and read it at your leisure. Just for future reference, if I have a letter for you, I will approach at high speed. Do not flee. Do. Well, my business is concluded. Onward to mail! He was ecstatic as he ran off. He had found Link! Finally, after searching all over massive Hyrule Field, the postman had found the recipient of the strange letter. Now he could finally get to the rest of his route. I wish I had just one small town to take care of, rather than the entire kingdom, he thought to himself before checking to see where his next delivery was located. Then I could maintain a consistent schedule. He ran all over delivering letters, or at least trying to deliver letters. Because you see, this postman was not very effective at his job. He was consistently screwing up in one way or another. One day it was accidentally dropping letters into a pool in Kakariko Village. The next it was feeding messy-looking letters to goats at Ordon Ranch. Then he was missing stops on his route, taking hours hanging out at the milk bar trying to decide what to eat. The Zora's Domain situation was the biggest blunder, though. It was such a conundrum that the postman just didn't know what to do. He crouched down behind the Zora's throne, looking the letter over and muttering to himself. Now, this is made out to a Mr. Zora, so I don't really know who should receive it. Zora's domain was filled with hundreds of the fish-like Zoras. How was he supposed to know which one was to receive the letter? He had it! He'd just give it to the Zora in charge, and they would figure it out. Nothing like passing the buck to get rid of a hard day's work. Now, to find out which one was in charge. The postman looked all over Zora's domain, but every time he asked Zora who their leader was, they grew cold and turned away. He couldn't get an answer out of any of them. He rushed from room to room, looking for help, only to blindly round a corner and bump right into Link. Picking the hero up off the ground, the postman got another great idea. Link would definitely know the Zora leader. Hey! Link, my blessed friend, do you happen to personally know the leader of the Zoras? Well, do you? Link was silent, looking a little torn, but the postman didn't give him much time to respond. Wonderful! Please, give them this letter. Do. And with that, my work is completed. Onward to mail! The postman ran off towards the exit of the domain, leaving Link looking blank-faced at the soggy letter now in his hands. He didn't have the heart to explain to the postman that the Zoras were in crisis mode, leaderless, and praying for the return of the Crown Prince. He felt as though he had been in this position before, that no matter what he said to the postman, he would just push through to maintain his schedule. That no matter what, he would just keep on running. If you're a fan of the series already, you'll know that I took these 4 stories from 4 separate games: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, The Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. Each one takes place in a different version, time, or reality of the world, but each one has a postman character with some similar characteristics. They are all into running, or flying in Kaboli's case, and each one has a keen sense of duty or responsibility to their task. This is why I was drawn to this story, because in each of the games he shows up in, he's a pretty similar character in some aspects, but wholly different in others. The rigid, structured postman in Majora's Mask is suddenly the scrambling, confused postman in Twilight Princess. This happens with other characters and locations as well. And stumbling upon Kakariko Village, or the Four Carpenters, in their latest iteration is one of the reasons why each game feels fresh and new. It's like seeing old friends after a long period of time. All you want to do is sit down for a while and catch up on what they've been up to. Now, on to some credits. You may have noticed a difference in the music today. We used covers of Zelda songs for the intro into each of these stories, all by the artist The Only Deer Alive. He has so many great covers from many gaming series, so make sure you check them out. For Ocarina of Time, we had the Song of Storms. For Majora's Masks, it opened with the Song of Healing. The Wind Waker was the Dragon Roost Island theme, and Twilight Princess started with Midna's Lament. As you heard, The Only Deer Alive is super talented and ranges from soft acoustic to shredding metal. Links to his YouTube page are in the show notes, so go check them all out. Next, to celebrate our first dive into Hyrule, we're doing a Zelda-themed prize pack giveaway. On May 3rd, the day that this episode is released, we'll release a message on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter showing some of the goods included in the giveaway. All you have to do is follow the account, like the post, and tag 2 friends in the comments. It doesn't matter which feed you do it on, although you'll get an entry for each one, so try to hit all 3 up. The drawing will be held on May 13th, so make sure you get online and enter as soon as you can. And that's all for this episode. We have a few other special things in the works, so make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss a thing. And next time, we're not quite sure where we're headed, so send us some ideas on social media and we'll take them all into consideration. And as always, thanks for listening. Today's show was written, recorded, and produced by me, Sebastian Azaro. All sources used today can be found in the episode details on our website, hiddenpixelspodcast.com. Episodes are available now on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. If you like what you heard, or even if you didn't, please subscribe and leave us a review. And follow us on Facebook at Hidden Pixels Podcast and Twitter at Hidden Pixels Pod. We also just released a brand spanking new Instagram account at Hidden Pixels Podcast, so check that out as well. And of course, thanks for listening.